Good morning, parents. Buenos días. Those of you that have the headsets, los traductores, ¿pueden escuchar can you give me a thumbs up if you can hear the translators? ¿Pueden escuchar? Ay, pues están almorzando, ¿verdad? Disculpen. No los tienen puestos. Si nos pueden avisar si acaso pueden escuchar, se tiene que prender. Yes? We can hear? Yes? Okay, perfect. Perfect. We want you all to continue enjoying your breakfast. We want to get started because we do value your time and we don't want to keep you here longer than we have to. But we want to welcome you to our very first UCOP of the year. As a matter of fact, we have not had one of these parent meetings since February of 2020. So we're very excited that you all are here. So once again, welcome. Can we give all our parents that are here a round of applause and joining us virtually as well? So this is also the very first time that we offer it like this, for parents to be able to come in person and parents to be able to sign in online. So we have some people watching us right now from their homes. So welcome everybody. My name is Rebecca Morales. I am the Executive Director for Federal and State Programs here at United ISD. And we have a lot of great information for you this morning, so we're very happy once again to have you. Before we begin, I want to introduce our staff. My federal program staff, some of them were outside greeting you. Some of them are in here as well. So if I could have my staff, whoever's in here, wave. We have Ms. Sara Hernandez, Ms. Isabel Stilema. You all see the beautiful decorations. And that was a team effort. We were here yesterday preparing this for you. We wanted it to be so nice for our parents, for our UISD parents. And I have to give a shout out to Ms. Perla Gonzalez. Ms. Gonzalez, can you wave? She's the visionary behind all of these decorations. We have Ms. Marisol Gonzalez and Griselda Gil in the back, who called a lot of you all to remind you to come today to join us. So once again, I couldn't do it without my team. And of course, we have our translators here from the district. We have people from technology. We have our safety manager for the district, Mr. Rangel, who's also assisting us. Ms. Roxanne Villagomez, who's also from our Department of Federal Programs for the after-school program. And I can go on, parents, but I will not. I want to go ahead and introduce to you all our distinguished guests this morning, who will be speaking to you all about the state of our district for the first 10 weeks already of this school year. I want to begin by introducing our Superintendent of Schools, Mr. David H. Gonzalez. And in the back, who will be speaking to you all today also, we have Ms. Gloria Rendon. She's our Deputy Superintendent. We have Mrs. Emma Leza, who is our Associate Superintendent for Curriculum and Instruction. And last but not least, we have our Chief Financial Officer, Mrs. Laida Benavides. So without further ado, I'll go ahead and pass it on to Mr. Gonzalez. Thank you.
Good morning. Buenos días, bienvenidos todos. De parte de los estudiantes, de los empleados de United, le doy las gracias por estar hoy con nosotros en la mañana. I want to thank you parents for being here this morning. I know that some of us work and so forth, but you're taking the time, which shows how much you care about not only our students, but also our district. I'm going to start off. Yeah, my name is David Gonzalez. I met a parent a little while ago. She said, you used to coach at Nixon. You used to coach my ex-boyfriend. Yeah, a long time ago. So my background a little bit, and I'm going to talk slow because I know we are translating. So I started teaching and coaching in 1990 at Nixon High School. I did varsity football, girls basketball, and track. I did that for 9 years. I was an English teacher. Then I have 6 experience as an assistant principal at high schools. I was at Alexander. I was also at LBJ. I opened up LBJ as an assistant principal there. I was principal at George Washington Middle School for 8 years. Hello, ma'am. Executive Director Middle School, and in the last 8 years, I was your associate for curriculum instruction. And Ms. Lesa, who replaced me, is here. She'll be presenting everything on curriculum instruction. And July 1st, I became your superintendent. So again, thank you for being here. Mil gracias. Just a couple of items that I want to share with all of you before we get started. We still have the COVID. The virus is still there. We all know that. Even people get vaccinated have been getting the virus. So we still need to continue to be very careful. And I will tell you that our teachers and staff at our campuses are promoting that. The hygiene, washing the hands, the hand sanitizers. Somebody asked me outside about the mask. So let me clarify something. As a United ISD district, our board of trustees, we did a mandate, and you all know that, requiring the mask at all campuses, in the buses as well. When all that was going through, the Texas Supreme Court pretty much called on some of us to testify. Ms. Randon, myself, one of our board members, Mr. Javier Montemayor, and we testified with the Supreme Court. Joel Lopez ruled, our local judge, ruled in favor of us to keep the mandate for masks. Spring along a few weeks later, the Texas Supreme Court came out and said, you cannot do that, UISD. So now what we can do is we can ask and highly encourage that we wear a mask for our students. We have to follow the law, and that's the best we can do, but we do encourage it. I will tell you that I've visited many schools, and for the most part, our teachers, our staff, and the majority of students, son contaditos, they're count the ones that don't wear it, but pretty much they're wearing the mask, okay? CDC came out and said, the three main areas to combat the virus are as follows. Vaccination, number one. I will tell you that about 93% of our employees at UISD right now are vaccinated. The second item they said was the mask. That's why as a district we highly encourage the wearing of our masks. The third one was social distancing. We're doing our best, and we're going to continue to do our best. And your children will tell you that in their desks they have the plexiglass. I've also gone to different cafeterias where they have plexiglass, and our schools are doing their best, and we're going to continue to do that. Is it perfect? No. So every day we try to do a better job. As mentioned right now by Ms. Morales, the three presentations, the first one is on curriculum instruction. You're going to hear how well we are doing. And like I said earlier, if there's something that's not perfect, we're going to continue to try to get better, because we're in the business as a district, United District, to educate children. The next presenter, to me, is the most important one of all, is the safety. Right now, that's number one. La seguridad de los estudiantes, los empleados, es lo más importante, and that is very clear. There's an overpercent on that, what we're doing as a district, and you are allowed to ask questions, obviously. And the last one will be Ms. Laida Rendon, our Chief Financial Officer. So yes, we got money from the federal government, our ESSER funding. She's going to go over, review with all of you how we're spending the money. You all need to know how we're doing it, okay? Last thing I want to share with you. We need your help with your students, with your children, our students, right? Again, encourage the mask. As a campus, as a district in the campus, we do our best for social distancing. I went to the mall recently. Está así. You know, you go to other events at the same arena, it's like this. So we need your help. With your children, just talk to them about encouraging social distancing. We're doing our best, so we ask our parents, we need your help. The success that we have at United ISD is only as successful as the support that we get from our parents from you. So parents, thank you. Se lo agradezco por todo lo que hacen desde padres trabajando con este distrito de United, para lo mejor para sus hijos. Le doy las gracias. And at this time, I'd like to present our Associate Superintendent for Curriculum and Instruction, who go over how we are as a district, what we're doing instructional-wise. Ms. Malesa, let's welcome her. Thank you.
Good morning, parents. It's so good to see you all here. I'm going to tell you that our schools, our administrators, we're all so happy to hear the children in the halls, to see their eyes light up when they're learning something. It's been a struggle for all of us, right? But we're just very, very happy that we're here again, being able to serve, take care of, nurture, and absolutely educate your children. And that's what it's all about. You know, and I see the lovely little girl here in the front, and I'm like, yep, that's a future customer of ours. You know, so thank you for being here, and thank you for trusting us in trusting your children to us. And I guarantee that every day we're doing better to make sure that we're meeting the needs of our students. Let me go ahead and get started. And my clicker is not working. Something's going on. There we go. Okay. So we're looking at the academics. I'd like to tell you that we are now providing instruction for over 39,000 students. And that's pretty amazing when we look at a number like that, right? Yes, just like Mr. Gonzalez said, providing that safety, providing that learning environment that they need. It's very different. It was very different last year when we were teaching from a camera to camera, right? Because we were doing it virtually. And so the teachers, although they planned their lessons and they did everything that they could to provide that instruction, we know that the learning environment was different because they didn't have their classroom, they didn't have their manipulatives. So we're very, very happy that we are being able to provide that. This year we've had to make a lot of amends, and one of them is remote instruction. We have to provide temporary remote instruction because we have, like Mr. Gonzalez said, this virus is not gone. So we've had children that either have been exposed, either to a family member or, you know, at a school. And so we do have to provide remote learning, but we're doing it temporarily because we know that that is not the best instructional setting for our children. Another thing that we're providing is there's some of course, some of our children, when you look at 39,000 students that need, that have temporary medical conditions. For example, I'm an asthmatic myself, so I know that, you know, that weighs heavy on parents' minds about the safety. So we will provide that remote instruction for those students that meet the medical needs as prescribed by a doctor. We've been doing that since August the 18th, and we've served over 2,000 students, but in cycles. Right now, we have about 150 that are in the remote instruction. At the elementary level, we provided a beginning of year assessment. We call it BOY, right? Beginning of year assessment. And we gave this assessment to every student from 4th grade up because we wanted to know, okay, where do we need to start? What's our starting place for this year? It was given to them at the grade level that they were last year. So for example, if your child was a 4th grader, they took this exam at the end of 3rd grade to see how they were doing. And I just want to share with you the very amazing results when we looked at elementary, and I'm hoping that my link works. Yes, it is. Okay. No, it's not. Okay. Let me try it again. Nope, it didn't link in. I'm going to have somebody work on that for me, but I will tell you that After 4 weeks of in-person learning, we saw very good gains in both the reading and the math. And that has to do with the students using their manipulatives on the instruction, learning how to subtract using counters, learning, using their graphic organizers for reading. All of that is very, very important, and thank you. And the only way that we could do that was in-person learning. That's why we've done everything that we can to make sure that our schools are safe for your children and that we're following all of the safety protocols. If you want, I can email it to you. Does it go through? Do you want me to log in?
No, that's fine.
It's okay. That's okay. At the end, I can come back. Don't worry.
Yeah, it doesn't go into. Oh, where do you want to
Sign in?
sign it?
Okay. We love technology. It's really given us let me tell you a little bit about technology. Because we were able to provide every one of your children with a device, a mobile learning device, either a Chromebook and in first grade an iPad, we've been able to incorporate this in our daily lessons as well. So everything we learned from last year, we're using it. We're using it because we know that that's their future. It might not be our future, right? We still struggle a little bit. But I've seen like 1-year-olds already swiping, right? They're just, this is their world. The technology is their world. So we want to make sure that we are also embedding it every day. No, it's okay.
Yeah.
It's okay.
There's an error on the link.
I'll work on it and then we can show them. I'll show you their results for tests and we will share those with you. Thank
Just
you.
need to go back to the Zoom.
That was it.
To go back to the Zoom.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, and we will share those. We've already shared them with our board members, so we will share the results with you. This year we've also partnered. Thank you. This year we've also partnered with the Texas Education Agency. We've joined a resilient school support program with our state agency, and they've brought Ed Direction with us so that we have an agency coming in to look at UISD to see what can we do better, how can we get better? Because in education, we learn every day, right? So we want to make sure that our systems that are in place, that we are targeting the students that the learning that the students need, especially since they were out of our schools for over a year, almost a year and a half. So right now we're focusing on third grade students. Ed Direction coordinators are coming in. They're coming in to look at, they've come into our classrooms, they've come in to see what the learning is like. And after visiting 6 of our elementary schools in third grade, and we're focusing on third grade because this is going to be the first year they take an assessment, and we didn't have second grade to prepare them the way we normally did, right? We continued to work with them virtually, but we needed to make sure that They are ready for this assessment. And I will tell you that it's better when we have outside people looking in because it validates the great work that we're doing. So when they came in, they gave us a report and they told us that 80 to 100% of the students that they observed were on task, following their teacher's instructions, and working with the learning. They're excited to be back at school. They're excited to be talking to their friends. They're excited to be learning from their teachers. 100% of the teachers that they observed had already established routines. I think as parents, you know that routines are very important, right? And when something happens and you are not able to follow the routines the next day, it doesn't work as smooth as it can. So that's what we were focusing on at the beginning of the year also, was establishing those routines, those procedures, and encouraging our students in their learning. They were very impressed, but not surprised on our results that I couldn't show you, I'm sorry, on our results for our beginning of year assessment, because they say that we've got the structures in place, we've got the learning in place for our students to do better, okay? So we are very sure that from last year's test results to the end of this year, we are going to see marked improvement for every one of our students. That is our goal. We also had, in June, the legislature pass a bill. I'm not sure if you've heard about this bill, but it's called HB, House Bill 4545, and it is focused on accelerated learning. So they have, the state, the Texas Education Agency has informed us that we must provide 30 additional hours for every content area that the students didn't do well on STAR last year. Okay, so if your child was, for example, an 8th grader last year, they took 4 STAR assessments, reading, math, science, and social studies. If they passed, let's say they passed math and science, but they failed reading and social studies, we must provide a total of 60 hours, 30 for reading, 30 for social studies, in accelerated learning, and we must do it in small groups. So you might have received a survey from us saying, can you allow us to just do the small groups? We're doing no more than 10 students in our small groups. We've already put these 30 hours into our daily schedule as much as possible, and then we've also included tutorials for your children. Teachers are recording the time. Every time that the teacher works with the children for this accelerated instruction, we have already built a software system to be able to record that time, and we will be providing you with reports on how we've accumulated that time for the students to meet that accelerated learning. At middle school, if you're a middle school parent and you have an 8th grade child, we've also continued, we adopted this right before the pandemic, that we were going to provide every single 8th grade student an opportunity to take the Texas Success Initiative assessment. It's an assessment in reading, language arts, and math. And they have to meet a certain score at the end of 8th grade to be able to be eligible to start early college courses when they go to high school. Now, this is very important to us. Why? Because by the time your children graduate from high school, they would have earned at least 30 hours of college credits. That's amazing. Okay, I know, I can tell you it's amazing because, you know, I have 2 very grown children that have already gone through college and one that is still in college. And the tuition that you're going to be able to save is amazing, but the most important thing is think of the confidence of your children when they graduate and say, you know what, gosh, I've got just maybe 1 more year and I've got my associates. Okay, so we know that this is an important assessment, so we provide additional support through tutorials, and we also provide additional testing opportunities. None of this is to any cost to any of our parents or our students. We are now designated as a TSI2 district, and we provide the assessments and we provide the support for them. Okay, so you'll be hearing this from middle school on Saturdays. They might say, we have a testing day. You'll know that that's what it's for. We're going to start giving that TSIA2, look at their results, and if they need additional support, we will provide that for them. Another very important thing that happened this year is not only do we provide college credit hours at every high school, but we've already have LBJ High School as a designated early college high school. And this year, we were able to add another one of our high schools. United South High School now is designated as an early college. What does that mean? That means that we have a lottery system, right? And the students apply to go into the early college. And if they are selected, then those students are able to graduate high school and LC at the same time. They will graduate with a high school diploma and an Associate of Arts degree. That's over 60 hours of college credit. That's like 2 years of going to LC. So we ask you that you take every opportunity to talk about these special programs, special abilities that they will have. Take these assessments very seriously. Get the support that they need so that we can provide them that opportunity after they graduate. I mean, can you imagine graduating with 2 years of college under your belt? That is really amazing. Okay, so we're very proud, we're very happy that we've added United South High School. We are working as a district to see how we get our other high schools to be a part of this, but for now, we've got 2 of the 4, we're at 50%, that's pretty good, okay? And every high school, let me just say, Alexander and United High School have the opportunity to provide early college credits. Those are about the 30 hours of college credit, but not graduating with an associate's degree yet, okay? But we are working on that. And the last thing that I wanted to address, boy, has this year been stressful, right? I think all of us have felt the stress of COVID one way or another. And we're adults, and maybe we've already learned how to cope, but sometimes our children have not. And our children are seeing the stress that the parents are going through. When family members are sick, they're scared. What if I bring it home and my grandma, my aunt, they're scared. They have gone through the same stress that we have, but they may not have the skills to be able to assimilate and move forward. So this year, every single teacher in every single campus is allotting 10 minutes every day to look at social and emotional curriculum put together by our counselors to help our children cope, to help our children express. Sometimes sometimes when they say you just need to vent, you just need to tell somebody. That's what we're doing with every single one of our children in our schools through all of our teachers. So it's been put together by our counselors. Like I said, everyone is participating, and we're doing 10 minutes a day. And some people might say, oh, that's only 10 minutes. Believe me, these 10 minutes are making a difference because we're doing it daily, and it is themed across positive character traits. We're competing with some pretty negative vibes out there, right? I'm just going to say one name, TikTok. Have you all heard about that? They're telling our children to do things that are wrong, that are not good for them. So we're competing with all of this. We need to give our children these positive traits so that they know how to say, that's not the right thing to do. I better do this because this shows kindness, because this shows that I'm strong, because this shows that I can get through this. And so I wanted to let you know that this week, the character trait is diligence, and this week's affirmation, and if you go by a school in the morning, you'll hear it on the announcement, I will do my best at all times. And isn't that what we need from our students, right? Just to do their best at all times so that we know where they're at and we can help them get better. That's what we want to focus on. So I'm going to give you homework, okay, that this week, next week, Ask your child about the social and emotional lessons that they're going. They normally see a video, and then they get to talk about what they see on the video. You know, how do you show kindness? Sometimes just by opening the door for the person that's coming behind you. That's an act of kindness. And that's just what we want to make sure that we're building on, so that when they get these TikTok challenges that we know are not good for them, if they're negative, right? Because some of them are positive, I do have to say that. But if they're negative, they know how to react to that and not fall into that, that temptation, I guess I'm going to say, of doing something that's not good for them, not good for their friends, not good for their family, not good for their school. Okay, so that's kind of in a nutshell, what we're doing academically. Again, we thank you for entrusting your children to us. We will do everything we can to make sure that their education is the best that we can provide for them. Thank you, and I wish you all a very successful year.
How is everybody today? Breakfast was good, right? I'm going to have some in a little bit, but I didn't want to have food in my teeth when I present it to you all. So just wanted to welcome all of you and thank you all for being here, most importantly. And can I do this English-Spanish? Do you mind? I know I'm going to throw the translators off, but I would like to do a little bit of this presentation in English and Spanish so that you can kind of relate to me in the sense of the information that we have. First of all, where's the handheld mic? I don't like to stand behind the podium, number one. Okay, so this is better. I just want to tell you a little bit about United Independent School District. All right, if you don't know, for those of you who are young parents, parents of young children, let me tell you a little bit about United, and I know Ms. Lessa hit on it a little while ago. 39,000 students, that's how many we have right now. But I want you to go back to August, okay? August 16th was the first day of school. We started off with 32,000 students. We're expecting 42,000 students, all right? We were short 10,000. El distrito de United es grande, okay? 39,000 estudiantes que tenemos ahorita. El día 16 de agosto, el primer día de clases, empezamos con 32,000 estudiantes. Okay? Vamos a hablar. ¿Por qué no vinieron 10,000 estudiantes? Why didn't we have 10,000 students? What do you think happened to the 10,000 students? They left? Everybody left Laredo? I mean, I see the loop, and it's high traffic areas, you all. So what happened to our 10,000 students? We're at 39 now. So what has happened in the increment between August 16th and October 21st today? What has happened? We've gained 7,000 students. Hemos incrementado 7,000 estudiantes. ¿Por qué creen? Okay. Mucha gente ha venido, se ha movido para Laredo. Okay. No tenemos muchos estudiantes nuevos, so voy a clarificar eso primeramente. There's not a lot of new student enrollment, all right? Que digamos miles de estudiantes que se movieron para Laredo no se ha visto porque nosotros estudiamos de dónde vienen los estudiantes. Okay, so we study where the students come from. But more than likely, yes ma'am.
Yo más bien pienso por el temor, porque estamos todavía asustados por la pandemia, pero los estudiantes en la escuela nos damos cuenta de los cuidados que tienen, tanto en la escuela como en.
Gracias. Y es lo que quería que dijeran. Todos dijeron lo mismo, ¿verdad? El temor, pero más que nada, vieron las medidas que estamos tomando como distrito. Ustedes como padres de familia tienen esa decisión, esa opción, ¿verdad?, que tenían, y vieron que no se iba a dar clases virtuales este año. El Estado dijo que no, ¿ok? Y muchos, no es lo mismo clases presenciales a clases virtuales, no es lo mismo. Sabemos que no hay sustituto para una maestra directamente o maestro directamente con un estudiante. There is no substitute for live instruction, and we've learned that. And I know Ms. Lesa was trying to present that information as to the children who are here, who have been here for the first 6 weeks, and we tested them. They have shown growth in the 4 weeks, 5 weeks that they had been here prior to that test. Han enseñado crecimiento en sus niveles de aprendizaje, y eso es lo que queríamos enseñar en un periodo mínimo que han estado aquí. So, imagina si hemos estado aquí 8 meses, 7 meses, ojalá que podemos cerrar, porque sí hubo retrasos de aprendizaje, sí hubo, all right? There was learning loss, and we cannot forget that point. Okay, so going back, we have 39,000 students, 30 elementary schools, 11 middle schools, 4 high schools, all right? So 30 primarias, 11 secundarias y 4 preparatorias. Y Ms. Lesa ya habló de atacando unos programas en las escuelas que tenemos. So, para nada más que ustedes tengan una idea, okay? Yo gradué de Nixon High School hace, vamos para 40 años. I went to Nixon High School almost 40 years ago, all right? Yeah, almost. It was reversed. Laredo ISD was a big district. United ISD was a little district. All right? We had 200 graduates at United. We have 3,000 graduates at UISD now. So, Laredo ISD se quedó landlocked, como que dice, encerrado, y United ISD creció todo afuera de Laredo. So, ese es United ISD. Laredo ISD es un círculo chiquito, okay? Y United es todo. Vamos hasta Encinal. Los buses empiezan a correr a las 5 de la mañana. Quiero nomás que sepan esas ideas para que miren ustedes y entiendan que es un distrito muy grande, muchos, a lot of intricate pieces because there's transportation, there's food service, there's a lot of pieces, and we all work together for the benefit of your children. All right, and that's just really what I want to say, but I wanted you to get, more than anything else, a snippet as to who United is. So going back, all right, we have COVID safety, las medidas que hemos tomado para COVID, y no voy a hablar mucho de estos, pero al principio del año escolar, los medios, fueron muy duros con nosotros, okay? Bien difícil que tuvimos hablando con los padres de familia, nos cooperaron en mucho aspecto, pero también trajeron mucha ansiedad, ¿verdad? A los padres de familia. Y muchos de los padres de familia estaban viendo, pues, ¿qué va a pasar? ¿Quién se va a enfermar? ¿Quién no se va a enfermar? ¿Qué va a pasar? Y nosotros también andamos con ese temor. No vayan a creer que, yo voy a casa y pienso, ay, Diosito, ojalá que no vaya a pasar esto, no vaya a pasar esto, y vamos a tomar esas medidas por todos, porque yo también soy mamá, y sus hijos son mis hijos. Y así vemos la estructura de administración, así cuidamos a sus estudiantes y a sus hijos. So fue un poco al principio 32,000 y ahí vamos, las medidas siguieron, las limpiezas, es un esfuerzo de mucha gente. It was an effort from so many people to try to get to where we are at 39,000 students. So we're still 3,000 short, almost 2,000 short. We're still waiting for those particular students, and there's a lot of students whose parents say no, hasta que venga la vacuna, hasta que va a haber clases virtuales. Todavía están pidiendo clases virtuales en ese aspecto. Por ahorita no vamos a ofrecer clases virtuales, es nada más conferencia de remote para los estudiantes que tienen una razón médica o que están en cuarentena por COVID. Okay, so que les quería enseñar esto. I don't know if that works. Click on that. Si no han visto el dashboard de United ISD, aquí dice qué tantos casos diarios. All right? Y esto es vivo. Esto es en vivo y nomás quiero que ustedes vean, this is live data. As a nurse inputs an intake at her school, at her campus, or an administrator inputs, it's changed. Every 5 minutes, it's updated, all right? So you look at today, district totals, you see 24 active cases. And what I mean by active is there are active COVID cases on campus that occurred. all right? That it's not an exposure, it's real COVID cases. And every 5 minutes, if I put in a case right now at Prada Elementary, it's gonna pop up in 5 minutes, that's gonna be number 25, all right? And so there's a definition there at the bottom. I just want you to kind of see that. So we're trying to be as transparent as possible for you all, because to bring your anxieties down and all the parents who didn't want to bring in their children, right? And you see them. And it gives you the percentage as to how many, what we're looking at in those particular areas. It's all right, we don't have to. Y son por escuelas primarias, secundarias, todo clasificado. This is on our website para el público. Everybody has access to this, okay? It's all right. We can go back to the PowerPoint. So, ¿qué medidas ha tomado el distrito? What measures have we taken as a district, right? Mr. Gonzalez talked about the face masks, all right? We tried really hard to continue with that face mask. It didn't work. I think that kept our numbers a little bit at bay, and we're still encouraging. We just cannot enforce it, all right? We have our shields at the campuses, los protectores de plástico, okay? Tenemos la distancia. Y voy a ser muy franco con ustedes, very frank with you all. It was easier to social distance when we had 32,000 students. All right? So it's a catch-22. You want your students to come back, but I can't offer you, think about it. Can I place 12 students in a classroom? I can't. That's going to double my teachers, double my classroom space, and there's no way I can do that. And the state was not giving us any wiggle room on minutes of instruction. I still have to provide 75,600 minutes of instruction every year. So I can't say, pues que este grupo venga en la mañana y este grupo venga en la tarde. Muchos padres tenían ese concepto, como en México, que le van a venir en la mañana y van a venir en la tarde. No funcionamos así. El estado de Texas nos dice nosotros, este es el mínimo requisito que tenemos para sus minutos diarios, el año escolar, 600 minutos cada año. So no puedo traer a las maestras que trabajan desde las 8 de la mañana hasta las 8 de la noche, sin pagarles más. ¿Y quién va a querer trabajar? Y ese es otro problema. Voy a desviarme un poquito. Employees. Guys, if you know of anybody who wants to work in our district, anyone, teacher aides, bus drivers, food service people, custodians, anybody that needs to work in our school system, substitutes, we need you. All right? Alguien que quiera trabajar los requisitos para cualquier posición en nuestro distrito. Como todos, van ustedes a restaurantes y ven que hay 3 meseras en todo el restaurante. Nosotros también estamos sufriendo en ese aspecto porque no hay suficientes empleados que quieren venir a trabajar y nos está afectando en ese aspecto. So, sí les pido, si ustedes alguien... ¿Mande? Voluntarios, sí, tenemos la aplicación online. Nos ayuda mucho en ese aspecto porque si no viene una sustituta, a veces nos pueden ayudar en ese aspecto, combinar clases y asistir con cuidar a estudiantes en nuestros salones y vigilarlos un poquito. So, sí. The job fair?
Because they posted it for Thursday, October 22nd.
Oh.
The 21st.
I don't know, can somebody text? And we'll find out about that one right now. I heard there was a job fair, but let me find out if it was tomorrow or today.
And it's either, I'm not sure if it's Thursday,
Or,
21st,
or,
October 22nd.
okay, we'll find out right now and we'll clear that up and good catch. Thank you for advising us. But yes, we are hiring. And so if you know of anyone, and I'm sorry for going sidetracking in that sense. So we look at COVID safety. Cafeteria seating, let me address that, right? When we started off, and you heard about it, August 30th, they wanted to shut down 14 schools, right? Because we weren't following protocols in the cafeteria. And that's when the masks came off, right? So that was the highest area, I guess, of possible transmission. So we went back, we converted classrooms, we bought tables, we're eating in the hallways, in the libraries, in computer rooms, just to keep the numbers down in the cafeterias. But as our numbers are growing and growing, that is harder to do. So we try to social distance when we can, pero en muchas ocasiones no es lógico, no se puede. porque hay 1,000 estudiantes en una escuela, en un plantel. ¿Dónde voy a poner a los 1,000 estudiantes? No los puedo sacar para afuera cuando estaba 104 afuera. Okay. So, seguimos. COVID safety. Seguimos con las medidas de COVID safety. Tenemos el periodo de quarantine, de cuarentena. 10 días si alguien sale positivo, un estudiante. ¿Vacunado o no vacunado? Si alguien sale positivo, están fuera 10 días. Empleados también. Okay? So there's a quarantine period for 10 days. Then there's exposures. Okay? If you're exposed to somebody with COVID, es otra medida. Si tienes vacuna y no tienes síntomas, te puedes quedar. Si tienes síntomas y estás vacunado, no te puedes quedar. Si no estás vacunado, no te puedes quedar. Yes, ma'am. Quarantine. So, if a child is positive, they're out. 10 days. Employee and student. 10 days minimum, all right? That's the period that CDC recommends. If a child is exposed to a positive, a student, then they are, and they're not showing any symptoms, and they're vaccinated, they can stay. The moment a student shows symptoms, then they're out, all right, for that 10-day period. If a student is unvaccinated and exposed, say mom or dad is positive at school, and they're exposed to mom and dad, at home, they're exposed to mom and dad, they've got to be out because they're not vaccinated. So those are the procedures that we have in place. Yes?
It's today, and it actually starts at 10, but they can always call after.
Okay, so the job fair is today?
It's not a job fair though, it's a Facebook Live.
Oh, okay.
So you can go back and watch it. Today, they will be talking about positions with food service, paraprofessionals, and substitutes.
The lady stepped out. Okay. Yeah, the one who asked the question stepped out. So, okay, all right, so I'm just looking at her, I was like, no, she's not there. But yes, so those are the procedures that we have in place. They have worked. We have promoted our vaccines, las vacunas para todos. Cada viernes casi tenemos una sesión para vacunas para adultos y los estudiantes de 12 para arriba. Estamos esperando la respuesta del gobierno a ver si van a aprobar las vacunas para los niños de 5 años a 11 años. Y nosotros ya estamos haciendo todos los procedimientos para estar listos para, si un día, el día 28 los aprueban, para el día 29 vamos a tener las vacunas. Pues ya los cambiaron los planes otra vez, porque nosotros teníamos la vacuna, ¿verdad? Pero dicen, no puedes usar la misma vacuna de los adultos, van a mandar, porque te mandan la medicina y sacas 2 o 3 vacunas de ahí. Dicen, no, ahora van a mandar las vacunas apropiadas para los niños de edad de 5 a 11. So now we have to wait. And no nada más están pidiendo órdenes de 300. So we have a supply of 300 that we can apply for if we get them, all right? We've already submitted our order because we are a vaccine provider for the community, but there's only 300 vials that they'll give us at one time. So that means I can only administer 300 vaccines every time we get a supply. All right, so we are planning for the vaccine drives. Hopefully the government will approve that emergency for the 5 to 11 years olds, and we'll go ahead and start those vaccines for those parents who want it. We're not making it mandatory. The state is not making it mandatory that you must have that vaccine in order to be enrolled in school. So I just want to make that very, very clear as well. So other things that we've done, we limpiamos frecuentemente en las escuelas, wipes, Clorox, maybe you've seen it on your supply list, mandas a sus estudiantes, a lot of hand sanitizing. Una compañía nos donó muchas botellas, casi 90,000 botellas de hand sanitizer. So estamos distribuyendo esas botellas de sanitizing. MERV filters, estos son filtración en los HVAC systems, en los aires acondicionados, y son los mismos grados que usa el hospital. Okay, they're called MERV filters that they use at the hospital level grade. All right, so we've included. Eso no se ven. Ustedes no van a ver eso. They're in our HVAC systems, and something that you don't see. They also increase the ventilation in the HVAC units in the systems. They opened up to get more clean air. So it's a little bit more humid in those particular classes, but we are getting and circulating that particular air into the classrooms as well. Buses, we try to keep them with our windows open so that they can ventilate as well. And we did buy some air purifiers, sistemas de purificación de aires, en unos salones de especiales y en las oficinas de las enfermeras donde van los estudiantes. All right? Y otras iniciativas que va a hablar Ms. Benavides de estas áreas. All right, Ms. Lessa ya habló de Social Emotional Learning, de los modos que estamos haciendo en las escuelas para preparar a los estudiantes cómo funcionar con sus emociones, ¿verdad? Y la última cosa que yo quiero hablar tocante de ustedes es las amenazas. Hijo, cómo ha habido amenazas. The campus threats, all right? And it's not COVID related, but it can be. But what I have noticed, and I don't know if you've noticed, people are angry. They're mad. I don't know if it was 18 months of isolation or just being in your household, but there's a lot of more anger in our settings. And so, eso se ha visto. You see it on your Facebooks or your social media sites, más agresión. So that's why we're bringing the curriculum of, how to be kind, how to treat one another. A simple task of looking at you in the eye, talking to an individual, because all they ever did was be behind a computer screen for 18 months. And it's hard to reintegrate individuals back, all right? So, threats. And this is a hard topic because at least once a week, we have a threat. And, I tell the students, you all have been gone for 18 months. And you wanted to come back to school so bad. Seniors, you wanted your activities, you wanted your football games, you wanted your senior week, you wanted senior activities. There's all these things that you wanted, and then somebody comes in and posts a note in the bathroom and says, shooting tomorrow at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. And that's hard. Y es lo que se ha visto. Que ponen amenazas en los baños, una notita que dice va a haber tiroteo en la escuela el día 20 de octubre a las 2 de la tarde. Right? Parents, and I hope I don't offend anybody, right? I hope I don't offend you by saying this, because I get asked every single time there's a threat in the bathroom by this. That is the safest day to send your child to school. If that note comes up, we have heightened police presence because we investigate every single threat. We try to, all right? We have heightened police presence. Viene DA's office, viene Sheriff's office, viene the Constable's office. Vienen muchas agencias de afuera de United ISD a asistirnos. Viene Laredo PD, viene mucha gente. Checamos backpacks, usamos los metal detectors. Ese es el día más seguro que puede haber en la escuela. Y francamente, cuando hubo, and I just saw it in the paper, Santa Fe shooting, cuando hubo el otro grande que hubo, no ponen una nota, no ponen, yes ma'am, they don't put a note in the bathroom, they don't warn, all right? In that sense, there's other signs that you have, pero no van a poner una nota en el baño. Pero esas notas en los baños disruptan el ambiente escolar, mucho, all right? United South High School, 2 weeks ago happened, we had 37% attendance. 37% attendance. Less than half of the students went. Alexander High School, Tuesday, 72% attendance. All right? And parents are taking out their children because the kids don't want to be there because there's nobody there. Yes, there's kids there. My daughter calls me, no, you stay there. Ahí te vas a quedar. A ver, ¿cómo le haces? Soy la única en el salón. Pues está mejor, te van a dar toda la atención a ti. Es lo que le digo. Te van a dar toda la atención a ti. Aprende el math, learn your calculus. Sorry. But yes, unfortunately it doesn't work that way. But I will tell you, we are trying. We have set up our procedures that we had prior to COVID, where we do bathroom checks every 20, 30 minutes. Checamos los baños, all right? Porque es donde dejan las notas. But now the kids, I'll give you an example of one. Iban caminando afuera, y un estudiante levanta una notita, ¿y qué dice? Shooting tomorrow. So they're not just in the bathroom, they're laying them out on the floor, they're putting them in the cafeterias, but we have to go back and do our diligence and investigate those matters, all right? But I can't pinpoint out of 1,000 kids who left that note in the bathroom.
So along those lines,
Yes, sir.
one of my questions is, as far as the UISD police,
Yes, sir.
the district in general, for those that, when you don't get a warrant, is there training, is there procedures already set, do the UISD police, are they in coordination with LPD, sheriffs, federal, to respond?
Yes, sir.
Do they have
Background.
ways of, they know how to go into every individual school to know in this school, if this happens, this is how we're going to go into it, to minimize?
Good question, good question. I'm going to translate first.
Okay.
Okay.
Training and
Él está preguntando, ok, ya hablamos de las amenazas, que el Departamento de Policías de United ISD tiene el entrenamiento, tiene el respaldo de otras agencias federales, locales, que nos pueden asistir. Okay, so le voy a responder a él y luego voy a tratar de traducirlo. Sir, we have been working on those particular items. Yes. All right, so let me tell you what we have done in the past, because we share our information. When you walk into a school building, you will see, all right, letter A, door A, all right, letter 1, number 1, I'm sorry, not letter, number 1, number 2, number 3. Everything is coded, letter, entrances, every single door is numbered, every single door is lettered. The hallways are lettered. All of our maps in our schools are done that way. So we go clockwise, letter A, B, letter A1, A2, A3. So we have a system in place that if somebody's not familiar with our school facility, say outside law enforcement who comes in, federal agents, because they're going to come in, we know that. They're going to come in, so every single one we have a standard system, so I can identify. And that helps my dispatch department at the police department who has access to all of the cameras to see, okay, I have a suspect possibly in section B2, and you know where B2 is. And everybody can head to B2. So yes, we do train for that. We do collaborate with outside federal agents and local law enforcement agents. We have shared our maps with them. We have run mock drills in that sense. We have lockdowns, lockouts, and I've told the principals, me paran los pelos, when you saw Arlington ISD, the shooting where a student actually shot somebody in school, it's scary. But I see that, and we're watching the television station, and that's the first thing my radar goes up. I get on the emails, and I start emailing my principals. If you have not done your lockdown drills, if you have not done this, if you have not done this, you need to do it. And we monitor that every month, sir. They have to. So we practice, and we hope that we never have to use that. But we are as prepared as can be. We have our incident command center, all right? We know where we have to be. We have our public relations. 3 years ago, prior to pandemic, we had a reunification drill, all right? Those of you who saw the Arlington shooting and issue, you saw all the buses lined up on the highway and the freeway, right? Si lo vieron, no sé si lo vieron eso. Eso es, van a sacar a los estudiantes de ese plantel. Porque no van a entrar los padres de familia a esa escuela, porque ya se hizo, es un incidente que tienen que investigar ellos, y no van a entrar los padres de familia, van a sacar los estudiantes y los van a llevar a otro local para reunificarse con los padres de familia. That's scary. That sends chills up my spine, sir. But we're ready. I want to say it's 3 years back, but we are looking and planning for those particular issues. We go to LEA, sir. We go to James Arena. And 3 years when we did that, we had a multi-agency component, and it was an eye-opener. The hardest thing is, how do we communicate? ¿Cómo nos comunicamos con ustedes? Porque hay mucha misinformation out there, mala información. Un ejemplo, les voy a dar, United South High School, hace 4 años, alguien un estudiante puso, ya hay balazos en la escuela. No hubo balazos en la escuela. Sí, están tiroteando en la escuela. Todos los padres de familia se fueron para la escuela. No pueden entrar los policías porque estaban todos los padres de familia bloqueando las calles. Eso no es aceptable. Y es lo que queremos decir ustedes, no van a ir ustedes a la escuela. Tenemos que, si hay personal, si pasa algo aquí, las ambulancias tienen que llegar, los policías tienen que llegar, no los padres de familia que van a hacer afuera de los portones, ustedes. What are you going to do? You need to get the right people in there, not you all. Alegar que está pasando, and all the misinformation that goes on. So I just ask you that you look at our UISD page, our Facebook page. That's where you're going to get your information and your messages. Because empiezan en alguien aquí en Laredo muy popular, que mucha gente la sigue, da mucha mala información. No voy a decir el nombre porque no le voy a dar más crédito. Pero es mucha mala información. Okay? So eso es lo que les pido, que para información, hablen a nuestras oficinas, pónganse en nuestras páginas, que nosotros les vamos a dar la información correcta. All right? Y a cómo va pasando, no a los chismes, oí esto. All right? So going back to your question, sir, I hope I answered your question. There's always room for improvement, and we work in those particular areas, sir. So, and we'll continue to work for the safety of your children. Any other questions, you all, before I hand the mic off to Ms. Benavides? Muchas gracias por su atención. No los quiero, ojalá que no los haya, pero nomás hablen con sus hijos de las amenazas, porque sí hay consecuencias, right? Se arrestan cuando dejan notas en los baños. Hay chequeos de baños cada 20 minutos. Hay consecuencias, no nada más hay juvenil, si son menores de edad, o cárcel para los de 17 para arriba, y luego se van a la escuela alternativa por casi todo el año. 175 días se van a ir, porque no queremos esas disrupciones en nuestros planteles. Y eso es lo que los estudiantes creen que es, pues, curioso. Vamos a tener una distracción y pues lo toman como juego, claro. Y pues no es un juego que nosotros vamos a soportar en ese aspecto, porque sí afecta a muchos estudiantes, a muchos empleados, y nos afecta con instrucción y pues con la asistencia diaria de los estudiantes. Okay. Gracias por su tiempo, que la pasen muy bien. Mándenos. Para los estudiantes, en las primarias hay clases con las consejeras que van casi como 1 o 2 veces a la semana, 1 o 2 veces al mes.
Muchas veces las consejeras no son psicólogas, no son psiquiatras. Entonces, yo creo que muchas veces las consejeras algunas veces son maestras que han pasado a ser consejeras. Yo creo que esta situación que nos ha traído, realmente todos estamos emocionalmente mal, algunos más, unos menos, pero una clase de terapia emocional para los jóvenes estaría muy bien, porque como papás podemos hablarle a los hijos y decimos cómo se sentiría y todo. Y yo lo veo porque algunas veces mi niña viene bien estresada y algunas veces la empieza a calmar.
Sí, como pues.
Entonces, una de las cosas que me ha ayudado es
Breathe, respira. Ajá.
Es la meditación.
Sí.
Meditación.
Sí.
Creo que es lo más importante. Hay en otros países que dan meditación a los niños. A las primeras horas empiezan a meditar 5 minutos de meditación y se ve que a mejorar.
Okay.
Entonces, una meditación, no importa qué religión sea,
No.
meditar, que te vengan los chakras o lo que
Ajá.
pero es muy bueno.
Okay, bueno.
Yo lo he visto.
Señora, yo la he visto, tuvimos una sesión con los directores de nuestra escuela y tuvimos una sesión así, y fue entre medio de COVID, y lo hicimos afuera, en el football field, vinieron los 50 directores y nomás respira profundo y relájate un poquito, y no los traíamos corriendo, no traíamos haciendo lesson plans o chequeando las maestras, nada, nomás. Por un 15 minutos del día, 10 minutos del día, olvídate de todo lo que está pasando y enfoca en tu respiración. Sí, sí ayuda. Y si estoy de acuerdo, vamos a hablar con Ms. Lesa, tocante que se encarga de las escuelas, a ver si... Y si tenemos psicólogas en nuestras escuelas, hay 5 psicólogas. Y ellas les ayudan a las consejeras a tener las secciones, porque usted dice, sí son maestras, más con académico, pero sí hay psicólogas en nuestro distrito, nada más le quería avisar de eso. No, está bien.
Porque en Tarillo hay muchos estudiantes de psicología que pueden hacer unas horas ayudar a las escuelas, como
Internships, sí.
y pueden ser créditos para que puedan graduarse. Entonces, una manera de colaborar
Con otros que nos pueda ayudar, así, sí.
como la escuela, ya el distrito ya esté haciendo para que los niños tengan horas de colegio, también los del colegio.
Sí, y nos ayudamos uno al otro. Muy buenas ideas, señora, muy buenas ideas. Oh, she was asking about, maybe there was some areas that we can collaborate with TAMIU for individuals who, for meditation, how to relieve stress with our students instead of, acting out with aggressions, that maybe they can go out and just coping, more than anything, coping skills. So we can certainly look at that. I do want to state that we do have some psychologists, licensed school psychologists, who work within our school settings. And yes, for the most part, our counselors are doing academic at the middle school and the high schools. But at the elementary, they do a lot of guidance counseling as well. And some middle schools and high schools also do that as well, where they pull out smaller groups. It's not necessarily the entire school, but they do work. And they work closely with the LSSPs, our school psychologists, to meet the needs of our students. And there's so many students. When we have 5 licensed school psychologists and we have 39,000 students, you see que no es suficiente. So she's asking maybe collaborations with TAMIU, other individuals who are willing to come work with us, who are majoring in those particular areas, so that we can get those benefits back to our students. All right? Thank you. Mande.
A mí sí me ha servido estar con las consejeras de la escuela Academies.
Sí.
Mi esposa, los obispos.
Ajá.
Y tenemos, me comunico con ella cada semana, estamos en comunicación y eso le da mucho.
Qué bueno, señora.
Estamos en comunicación y ya conocen a mi hijo y cualquier cosa.
Yeah. Middle school counselors. Sí, qué bueno, señora. Middle schools are good, high schools tienen más estudiantes, ¿verdad? Son un poquito más difícil. Sí, reconocemos eso. Estamos haciendo lo más posible. Tenemos communities in schools también, otras consejeras también.
Cuando estábamos en lo que era el COVID, teníamos en el clases
Virtuales.
como virtuales, sí,
Ujú.
y pues ahí nos aconsejaban y
Qué bueno.
daban muchas preguntas.
Yes.
También nada más recordar que hay en la comunidad hay ayudas para los estudiantes que tienen alguna necesidad más en concreta, que a lo mejor las consejeras no puedan, pero hay
Servicios afuera. Si estamos limitados en nuestra comunidad, pero si las consejeras y la directora de consejería tienen los contactos en nuestra comunidad, hay CAPS, hay diferentes programas.
reuniones que hemos estado también del mismo del distrito, de lo que el distrito trabaja, nos han ofrecido, ¿verdad?, que hay ese tipo de ayudas en la misma comunidad y son completamente gratuitos, ¿verdad? Uno puede pues, hacer una llamadita a la consejera para que le dé una
So
opción extra, ¿verdad?
Gracias, ma'am. So she's mentioning that we have other services in our community, that our counselors know where to get some assistance outside in our community, different agencies, normally free of charge, who can assist students as well and families as well. All right, so thank you for your, yes, ma'am.
Una última cosa, mi niña está pasando a la escuela y yo sé que cada quien tiene su manera de pensar y les quieres que lleven la máscara o no. Mi niña desayunaba horrible por la máscara, por la bacteria que está todo el día. Studies show that kids learn by looking at your facial expression in your mouth. And I know because of COVID, we've done a lot of restrictions and a lot of things, but I tell you, if there's an air that you or maybe not aggression, but a lot of fear. We as parents instill a lot of fear on our kids, and that's not right because our future children are gonna grow scared of everything. I know we have to take our precautions. I wear the mask out of courtesy because 15 minutes after we ever look at this, we're already smelling each other. The mask is just out of precaution, but it doesn't assure you that you're not gonna get the COVID. Anyway, so at school sometimes they are treated different because if you're not vaccinated or you're not wearing the mask or you're not doing that, and as a result, I have thought of getting my kids out and leaving school because I don't want my kids to suffer any kind of like looking at them down because they're not. I respect if you are gonna get the vaccine, but you also have to respect if not, I decide not to. I might be afraid of that vaccine. You might be afraid of not taking the vaccine, but we have to understand each other and be respectful. I wear the mask, like I said, out of courtesy.
Yes, ma'am. We should not be asking if your child's vaccinated. That's something that we've talked to our teachers and our employees.
They ask each other's moms that because that's what they keep out.
So the kids, yeah, but we don't, I mean, as an employee, we've told all our employees that we cannot. And so, yes, we have stepped away from the mask mandates, but we talk about kindness and respecting each other's individualities as well. All right, so we'll continue to do that. Yes, ma'am.
¿La vacuna para los niños va a ser obligatoria?
No, ma'am. No puede ser obligatorio. No. Okay. Gracias por todo. Yes, sir.
Also, relating to that subject of math, you have to follow the science on this, and it's a proven fact, whether you're vaccinated, once you are vaccinated, you are going to be susceptible. There's been 5 or 6 radio personalities nationwide that have died. And the last word, I've always said I should have gotten vaccinated. And they were strong opponents about getting vaccinated. So my opinion is you have to follow the science.
Sir. And we just respect, sir. Yes, sir. All right. Thank you all very much. Have a good rest of the day, and available for any comments or questions. Sorry.
Good morning. Just a little background before I start talking money. My Spanish is very limited, very limited. I will be here all red because I would have said the wrong words. So I warned our translators that I am an English-speaking person, even though I've lived in Laredo for over 28 years, but I actually grew up away from the border. So, and my poor mom, she was a Spanish teacher, and she always told me, don't tell anybody that I was a Spanish teacher. So I need to apologize for that. But you know what? Money is a universal language. I think we all understand money, whether it's spoken about in Spanish or English. I also want to take a little bit of time just to thank you for being here. And I'm going to get a little emotional because just to see y'all's faces and not see you in the screen, it's just something like we've come so far. We've come so far in 18, 19 months, and if our community keeps on doing the right things, I'm not trying to say, oh, vaccinate or mask. I think if our community keeps on doing the right things, you know, you see in the Laredo Morning Times, 90% vaccination. Again, I'm not saying everybody has a right, but I think as a community, and then you see the insert of, all the loved ones we've lost, that at some point in this time we have lost somebody that we either knew or knew somebody that knew somebody. And I think we all felt it. And I think just seeing the response by the community, you're sending your children to us and entrusting us again, right, to teach your kids. I mean, that's what a community is about. Last night we had a board meeting and there was no public comments. I mean, y'all hear it nationwide about, people vaccinate, no mandates, no mask mandates. And guess what? Last night our board members got to take care of the business that is about school, education, and services to our families and our community. Not about fighting about mask mandates, not about fighting about vaccines. So I have to commend our community that we give each other the space and the right to choose, but we also take our responsibility serious in protecting our community. So I really do commend you all. And again, it's so good to see y'all face to face. And I know Becky's gonna talk to you about our summit that's coming up in November. And we hope, honestly, that we have a full house. So I just wanna invite you all to stay involved in your students, in your kids' lives, in your children's lives. And always, always feel free to reach out to your principal, to Ms. Rendon's staff. And she's right, to find out about the truth about what's going on in our schools, because we're constantly chasing rumors, and we spend so much time wasting and chasing rumors when you all just need to reach out to us and you will get the facts. So that's all I ask about you all. So now I'm going to talk about money, the universal language, right? Let me just, so let me see what y'all are seeing. So I don't know if you've heard, but through the American Rescue Plan, through the Biden administration, and we also did get money through the Trump administration. So I'm not here to say, oh, this is the best administration. Actually, I think our federal government saw this crisis and knew how it was going to affect communities, and both administrations, you know, tried to do the best that they can to help communities across the nation. So this one in particular is, it was a good amount of money that came from the American Rescue Plan. We call it ESSER, not ESSA, but ESSER 3, Elementary and Secondary Schools Emergency Relief. So we got the money based on the students that we have that the federal government says is economically disadvantaged. And in our district, for every 4 children in our district, 3 are identified as economically disadvantaged. So 75% of our students qualify for any type of social services, I guess WIC, food stamps, all those type of federal programs that assist our families, feeding, etc. So based on our kids and our economically disadvantaged, we were allocated $127 million. And I know that is a lot of money. $127 million, it's like a Christmas gift early, right? So I'm just going to tell you the breakdown of how, as a plan, we said, where do we need this money to go? Now, every time the federal government gives you money like this, it comes with a lot of rules, a lot of, you know, you need to do this, you need to do that. So one of the things that we had to do is we had to plan with our community, we had to plan with our teachers, with our staff on where we thought the money should go, right? Because there's only so much money, right? So they also gave us a pretty lengthy list of what is allowable, like what we could use the money for. So if you see the breakdown, learning acceleration, you can see, has one of the biggest amounts. And what the federal government said was, you can spend the money with these allowable activities, but you have to use 20% of this money to address learning loss. And learning loss to them was where we felt our students lost some ground by, you know, being remote learning, right? I mean, the way Ms. Lessa kind of explained earlier, that we're testing to see how much ground we lost, and then we're going to find out where we are at, and then we're going to move forward. Well, this money is to help Ms. Lessa and her staff kind of address that learning loss. So you'll see under learning acceleration, $50.5 million. And just additional instructional support staff, let me tell you right now, we are funding the remote conference teachers. So by funding remote conference teachers, we're not taking a teacher that has her students or his students in the classroom. One of the rules that Texas Education Agency said for remote conferencing was that the teacher could not be teaching a classroom students, right, in her classroom or his classroom, and then also be on a camera teaching the kids that are at home. So when you think about that, that one teacher, now that we're going to do remote conference, we've lost the ability to have a classroom in our schools with 22 students in there, because that teacher cannot teach those kids in the school. So we're using some of this money to support that remote conferencing, because we feel it is important. We've come 18 months to where we are right now with 39 students coming in, but we do need to provide services to those kids that can't make it in for some reason, whether it's a medical exemption or whether they've been tested positive or that they've been exposed, right? Because the way Ms. Rendon said, if they're sent home, we're gonna still teach them through this remote conferencing. And if y'all haven't heard of that, please reach out to your campuses and find out a little bit more about that, because we cannot miss another day of your child learning, right? So, and us recovering that learning loss. And then we're putting some money for summer school. Hopefully next summer we can expand a little more. I know 2 summers ago in 2020, we even did summer school remotely. Y'all know that that's just too hard. These are the kids that need a little bit more time, right? So we have some money in there for summer school. We have some money for extended instructional time. This is that House Bill 4545 that Ms. Lessa talked about, that the Texas Education Agency said, you need to provide those 30 hours to those kids who have lost and who have lost learning, and also who need to be accelerated to catch up to their grade level, right? So we have some money in there for our teachers who are teaching extra duty, meaning after their school time, that they have after school tutorials. Y'all have heard about Super Saturdays. I think we're trying everything, right, Ms. Lessa, to try to get these kids back up to the level that they need to be. We've also done, we've taken advantage of using our devices that we gave to the students. We're using a program that, let's say there's one child in a classroom that needs a little bit more help, that maybe during that class time they can get on this program and get some tutoring while they're in the classroom. So we're trying all kinds of things. Will we fail? We don't know. We hope not, but at least we're trying, and the support is there from the federal government. Also, the acceleration academies, Ms. Lessa talked about the TSIA 2. That's going to be for your children to take advantage of these testing opportunities to accelerate their academics, meaning your 8th graders who are going to take that TSI exam. We have money there to either provide some kind of tutorials to prepare our students for that and for taking the test. I mean, I've heard they're having camps for the kids to come in and get ready for those tests. So again, all this money is geared toward everything that actually Ms. Lessa talked about earlier, and also you'll see in a little bit everything that Ms. Rendon talked about, right? So the other part that is the high quality instructional materials, 10.9 million. So we do have online programs for academic support. So since we gave your children, we issued the Chromebooks or the iPads, we're taking advantage of several softwares that are used to not replace the teacher, but to add to what the teacher's been teaching your students, right? So we have some money in there for instructional software. We also have on high quality assessments, meaning that we need to constantly be checking where your children are. So Ms. Lessa has a staff that creates like tests before they're going to take the STAR test, or tests before they're going to take the end of course. So we can know where your students are, and we can provide the instruction to get them ready for those tests that are coming in the spring. Texas Education Agency is not letting us not test your kids. We're sorry about that, but they're not giving us a break. So we're trying to get that support there. Wraparound services. I've heard a lot of discussion this morning about counselors, the emotional support for our children, right? So in here, we actually put in for 4 licensed professional counselors, and I think I'm using the right term, that are not your school counselors, that aren't about, oh, what grades did they get. These are supposed to be counselors that go and help those counselors that we have at our schools to provide this emotional guidance for our children. And then we also have some curriculum that Ms. Lessa talked about, that, remember the 10 minutes in the morning that the students are doing every morning. We're supporting that as well. And guess what? We could do a lot more. You're right. You're right. See, this was a plan on July. As we're going, it can change. But we know it better be geared to something like this. And we're learning every day where we need to bring our more resources, right? And then I'm going to go over to family engagement. This is you all. This is how, we realize that it's a big part of success for our students. You all are a big part of our success. And that's why there's some type of money set aside. And I know I've been trying to promise Becky that we're gonna work very hard in getting a parent resource center. We have spent the last 10 years building schools, getting kids out of portables. But now we need to step back and say, where can we find a center for our parents? Not just a monthly meeting or an annual big meeting, but a center where parents can come in and get resources and come and meet with staff. And so we're working very hard on that. It's not going to happen overnight, Becky, but we are working toward that. And we hope to use some of this money to, again, support parents. And then we have technology and infrastructure. I think you all know, right? Because at your own homes, y'all had Wi-Fi. Didn't have Wi-Fi, you know it's important, a modem, all that, right? Well, that's what this is. This is the technology we need in all our campuses and our district facilities to be able to use our devices and for your kids to use their devices, because now we have to have what they call access points, and you'll see one over there right there above the orange juice. If you go up, those are access points. They cost money to install them, the wiring, etc., right? So we're putting our commitment to make sure our schools are upgraded network-wise, and also we're trying to see if we have any money left that we can. I don't know if any of your students have been in a classroom, any of your children, where there is an interactive flat panel. We did something with the bond money. We weren't able to do every single classroom, but this money might help us do that. But we're looking at those situations if we can handle that. And then one of the biggest things is safety. And I wanted to share with you and kind of elaborate what we're doing for safety. One of the main things they put there is upgrades to improve air quality. We have come a long way in 18 months as a world, as a global world, to find out about this virus. First, it was like, let's sanitize everything, you know, the push of the hand sanitizer, and those are still very important. In fact, I think we have less flu because of it, right? But we're finding more that it is a respiratory issue, right? That it's in the air. So we are committing quite a bit of money, and I can't tell you that that's going to be the final amount. It might end up even being less. But for now, what we've done as a district is we've invested in the air purification units for our special ed unit classrooms, because these students may have further physical needs that need, you know, a little bit more air purification in their classrooms. And then we're putting them in our nurses stations. Y'all may be asking, well, what are we going to do with the rest of the classrooms? Well, in fact, last night the board approved a purchasing method to do what we call a UVC germicidal project. And the way this is going to look, let me see if I can find it here. This project we think is going to be about $7.2 million. And what's going to happen is in every air conditioning handle unit, and I know I'm not an air conditioning person, I just know what temperature to put it on to feel better. What's going to happen is in a air conditioned handler unit, and we're going to put it in over almost 2,000 units across the district, right, in our campuses. They're going to be putting what they call like a UV safe pre-filter. And if you see the blue lights, that's the ultraviolet lights that are supposed to, I want to say, kill the germs as the air flows through the air handling units. And that's where we're going to put additional protection for your students. This is going to take some time. We're going to prioritize the schools that we go to first, probably the older schools, because they have older air conditioning units. So we want to work on that. But this project is already going to get up and going, and hopefully, because this virus is not going to go away next year. It's not just going to stop one day. It's going to probably continue. So we're working on this. This is a $7.2 million project. The other one, the air purification units. These are the ones we're going to put in the special ed unit classrooms and in the nurses' stations. We're going to be investing in what they call bottle filling stations. And this is a project we're working with Ms. Rendon and Ricky Rangel. It may not be every single water fountain in our campuses, but there will be something available for our kids to go fill up their water bottles, you know, where they're not putting their mouth to the water fountain. So these are just some things that we're looking at. I mean, if we have some additional funds, we could expand it, but for now we have some selected water fountains throughout the district where we're going to put these. And then outdoor seating. There's nothing like living in Laredo and being outside. I mean, if anything that we have here in Laredo is a decent temperature to be outside. I mean, the north schools, they're going to be, you know, they're going to have snow. How can they have their kids go outside? We have pleasant winters. I know it's still hot, right? But at least we have the way to go outside and enjoy the outdoors in the shade, right? We might order some of these they have a hole right in the middle. We will probably order umbrellas because we can't canopy the whole campus, right? So those are things that we're working on. And then some of your schools already have outdoor seating, so we're focusing on those schools, especially the older schools, right? Because of the way they were designed. This is probably where the outdoor seating will end up. So these are just a couple of the way we're using this $127 million. The other thing that we're using for safety, and let me just go back real quick to that screen. Let's see. So there you see COVID-19 prevention and mitigation strategies, right? So what we did also with this money, with permission from the superintendent and a discussion at the management level, was we dedicated some of these funds for what we call COVID teams. We added more nurses in a centralized area to help the school nurses we have out in our campuses, right? If a school nurse is absent in one school, we send them to cover. We also have them as, we call them COVID teams, because what they were doing was they're getting all those forms that the campuses are filling out about, you know, I have a case of a student, you know, probably positive or exposure. So they're the ones that are organizing the reaction of, okay, you need to send these students home. So these are our COVID teams at a centralized location under our health services department. And I'm going to tell you something right now, that United ISD was I think, you know, in front of everybody else, or most districts in the state of Texas. We're not required to have a school nurse in a registered nurse in every campus. That is not Texas Education Agency. That's one of the staffing things. They say you have to have a teacher for 22 students, but they don't tell you what other kind of staff to have, right? We've always had a registered nurse in all our campuses. We build a new school, there's a registered nurse. In some cases, we might have multiple, especially at the high schools, and we also have what we call nurse aides. Now, part of the money that we used here, we set aside money for 25 nurse aides to help those schools that don't have a nurse aide. We realized it's important we have to capture data to control this virus in our campuses. So these people were very key to hire. And I know, Gloria, y'all kind of said about bus drivers and custodians. We're also hiring nurse aides. So if you know someone that would qualify, please tell them to reach out to our human resource department. So that's pretty much where this money has been geared toward. We have till September 30th, 2024 to spend all this money. And I'm going to guarantee you right now we're going to spend every penny. You know, the plan may change a little as we're going. When we did the plan, we didn't even know about remote conferencing. We didn't even know that the state was going to allow remote conferencing. So as this thing develops, then we know we may be changing money geared toward other things that we need to do. So I know it's a lot of information, but just to let you know that your children are at the forefront of every decision we make. You know, 127 million, how does it get to your child? It gets to them through all these services that we're working behind the scenes. So I don't know if anybody has any questions regarding money. I know, but yes, ma'am.
Any extra money to assist the teachers in the classroom?
Well, what we have is we have our general fund, right? That, you know, we collect taxes, we get money for the students. We've been trying to, there is money in here for part-time aides for the campuses. What we are again facing, we put money aside, but we're facing an employment crunch. Like, we don't really get applicants. So we are trying to help the campuses that way. Yes, ma'am.
Under family engagement, I see a bullet there, mobile health units. Can you elaborate on that?
Well, this was one of those units that actually Ms. Rendon put in her plan. And we were hoping to get, like, I don't know if you heard about our tech mobile, where we would try to, it's like I want to say like a little RV, where we would go to different areas of the district, right? Well, the hopes here, right? Because the hopes was to get like a traveling health center, right? The thing is that because we're trying to provide the resources at the campus with the nurses stations at the campus. This will probably still be considered. It's just, it's, you know, it's not, I don't want to say it's not at the top, but we also probably need to collaborate with our Webb County community centers that are out there in key areas before we, you know, we use money to say, oh, well, we're going to use this, because once you do something like that, you need manpower to run it. And then, you know, we also have a shortage of health professionals in this community as well. So it's there, but, you know, we're trying to see where does it fit and how we can man it and how we can get it going.
The other thing about that, Ms. Benavides, if I could just interject, is that right now we're also currently awaiting more guidance from the Department of Education, the U.S. Department of Education, on purchasing vehicles with this money. So it is part of the plan. I'm sorry to interrupt. It is part of the plan, and we're hoping, like Ms. Benavides says, that we'll be able to do it, but as far as vehicles are concerned, we are waiting on more guidance from them.
Any more questions? Okay, well, just to reassure you, I've been with the district 28 years, that this money, and they will vouch for it, I don't let them spend one single cent before that if it's not on the plan, if it's not an approved vendor, you know, et cetera, like, they know I will not let them spend that kind, you know, this kind of money like that. So just to assure you that we are complying with the federal government on how to spend this money. Yes, ma'am. Oh, I'm the Chief Financial Officer. I've been with the district 28 years. I'm a CPA, so I have a certain amount of ethics, I guess, right? But that's been my background. I have been here for 3 bond elections. Just all the buildings that you see out there, except for maybe Clark, Salinas, and certain older schools that I wasn't here for. But I've been here since 1993. So y'all can do the math. And I started at a really young age, so I don't So anyway, just to assure you, and I have very good staff. Also on the business side, I have very good staff that know, you know, we have our credentials and we have our abilities to manage this type of money. Just to assure you. Any more questions? And I know Mr. Gonzalez said I was Laida Rendon. No, if I was Laida Rendon, I would have been this tall. I'm Laida Benavides. So anyway, it was so nice again. I'm going to get all teary-eyed, but it's so nice to see you face to face. Please continue to support your children's education. You know it's very important. And again, any questions, please feel free to reach out to our staff that's here, and, you know, and your principals, your campus principals. They're a key part of any kind of message we want to send to y'all. So thank you very much for your attention this morning.
Thank you, parents. So we are about to wrap up, and we want to thank you once again so much for your time today, for your attention, for your attendance. I have to reiterate what Ms. Benavides just said. It's just so wonderful to see you all here in person. And she did mention that we are having a Parent Learning Summit. I'm going to talk a little bit about that. But right now, my staff is passing out some surveys. We want your feedback. Please let us know how we can improve, or if you have any ideas on what kind of topics you would like to see. You can either take a picture of the QR codes that are here behind me and complete the survey on your phone, or if not, they're passing out the paper copies. But once again, we please ask you for your feedback. And also, we want to thank our parents that joined us. I know we have over 100 parents that are signed in online. So we had a great event for our first UCOP. And like I said, we had a couple of hiccups this morning getting going with the food and so on. But once again, we're very happy that you're here. The other thing that I'd like to mention, parents, is that this year, those of you that have attended UCOPs before, they were usually always at lunchtime. We wanted to try something different this year because we know that some parents cannot come at lunchtime and can come in the morning, and some of you can come in the evening. So every UCOP this year is going to be at a different time. So if you all have your phones with you, we would like you to save the date for our next parent meeting, which will be December 2nd. It's on a Thursday. That one will be at lunchtime, so it will start at 11:30. We will be serving lunch. We will be sending out information. We're still working on the topic. More than likely, it will be something having to do with mental health and social emotional wellness. That is probably the topic that we will have for that one, but it will be December the 2nd at 11:30. We will be sending out a school messenger and asking you all to register, and hopefully you will be able to come in person again or join us online. Without further ado, we're going to go ahead and do our door prizes at this time. We have 3 door prizes to give out here for our in-person attendees, and then we have 2 door prizes that we will be giving out for our virtual attendees. So for those of you that are here in person, check your tickets. And I will be calling out the last 3 numbers. Number 195. 195. We have a winner over here in the front. Congratulations. They're bringing your prize over to you. Number 189. 189. We have a winner over here to my left. I guess the lucky ones are over here on the left. ¿Qué está pasando acá? What's going on over here? Okay. Last number, 154. 154. Oh my goodness, everybody over here on the left. Congratulations. We're going to go ahead and give out our last 2 prizes, which are for our virtual attendees. Go ahead. Or do I need to do it over here? Okay. Ms. Victoria Soto, please contact our office at Federal Programs. The number is 473-6259 so that you can make arrangements to pick up your prize. And then the last person, is Ms. Rosa Munoz. So once again, please call our office. There's nobody there now because we're all here. 473-6259 to make arrangements to pick up your prize. So the last thing, parents, that we wanted to start talking to you all about is the Parent Learning Summit. We will be having the Parent Learning Summit on Saturday, November the 13th. Please save the date. November the 13th at United High School. We will be doing the same thing. We will have in-person attendees as well as hybrid for those parents that wish to sign on from home. We will have many sessions, a motivational speaker, Mr. Mateo Magdaleno, which parents absolutely love and keep asking for us to bring him back. He will be here in person. He will be our guest speaker. And then we will have a multitude of sessions available for you. Free breakfast and lunch for those of you that want to come in person. And we will have a kiddie camp as well for those of you that will come in person. If you would like for us to have activities with your children, we will have a kiddie camp there as well. And of course, many door prizes. So we're hoping that you're able to join us again Saturday, November the 13th. We will be sending these out this week. We were waiting for the UCOP to be over, but we will be sending this information out so you can begin to register. Again, thank you all so much, parents. We love to see you, and we're so happy that you're able to join us. Yes, thank you for the reminder. For the Parent Learning Summit, the schools do get some cash awards for the schools that have the top attendance. So we want you all to support your campuses because they do get a little bit of extra money and it all goes back to the students. So again, we're hoping that you're able to attend. So again, we hope that you had a good session today. We thank you so much for being here with us. Have a wonderful afternoon and a great weekend. Thank you.